Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi, Kate. Hi, Dan. Hello, everyone. Hello, Samir. Hello. Welcome to the masterclass. Thank you all for joining us. We have a very, very interesting topic today to discuss. It's like endless. I think we might need another masterclass for this masterclass. just to discuss what's going to come out of it. So I will just let Marina take over and tell us a little bit about herself, tell us a little bit about the title and the subject, so what we're going to be talking about. And then at the end, 10 minutes, we're going to open the session for some questions. And Marina is actually offering, if you have any specific questions that you want to ask her personally or online, she will be very happy to assist us. Probably be like one of these people for sure. Definitely. So I'm gonna mute, and Marina, I'll give you the mic to kind of go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. So hi everyone. My name is Marina, as Laura said. I will be talking today about this long, it's a mouthful of a title, right? Can blockchain democratize finance and bring more active participants?
Sorry, Marina, can I just say, can you guys just block your mics? Because I can hear some, I think Dan, yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry, Marina, go ahead.
No problem. Bring more active participants to the financial markets. Actually, my thesis had an even longer title, but I'll start with that because it would be way too long. So to start off, the way I would try and do this session is I want to tell a little bit about myself, how I got to my marketing journey, how I got to the London School of Design and Marketing, and the choice of this topic. And then I'll go into a bit of talk a little bit about blockchain, and then I'll go into the topic in detail. If you have any questions whatsoever, yes, please do ask. It's easier to have like a conversation, right? So yeah, I am currently the Chief Brand and Ecosystem Growth Officer at a blockchain project, a layer one, named Alephium. It's based here in Switzerland, in the French part of Switzerland, where I am based currently. I have been in this space of crypto blockchain for the past 5 years as a user since 2017 and working in the space since 2018. And it has been a fascinating time for me with ups and downs, a steep learning curve, because I did different areas, starting from a crypto exchange, and then I moved on to on-chain asset management to now blockchain. And as you may see, I do not have a finance background originally, so I had to learn a lot. So let me bring a bit of this marketing in my life, because also I did not initially graduate in marketing or anything. I'm actually a teacher. But when I moved to Europe in 2008, and when I moved to Europe and to Switzerland in 2018, I started my own business. I founded completely offline, completely different topic from what we're discussing today, a publisher of board games where I would license and localize games from Europe or America and bring them to Brazil, where I'm originally from. And then we would have this publisher. And with that publisher, I got some sales partners here in Europe. I started having to learn how to do marketing, right? Because I needed to create my shop. I needed to create social media channels and started doing that. And I said, oh, I really enjoy this. I didn't expect I would like it so much. And at the same time, I joined Like, the crypto exchange, also based in Switzerland, still there, working, functioning, as the head of customer experience, which I had a lot of experience in. And then I was managing their support team, and I started, okay, naturally, I decided, okay, I need to understand the customers we have. So I'm going to try and talk to them and retarget them and understand why are they no longer trading? What is happening? Who are these people? How old are they? How do they think? Try and have a conversation with them. where that people realized, oh, Marina is actually really keen into marketing. We should give her the marketing as well. And that's how I became the chief customer experience, where I had marketing, design, the support function, sales, and something very common in crypto named listings is when you bring a token onto an exchange and you're part of compliance. And then I had worked for so long, the pandemic hit, and I was learning on the job, on the go. And I felt maybe I should now do something to see if everything I have learned by myself, and it's actually working, is based on some fundamentals of the marketing schooling that has been there for ages. And I started looking for a place to study and do a master's and educate myself and foment this knowledge that I had, put in practice it for so long. And then that's how I started at the London School of Design and Marketing during the pandemic, where I met great people. We worked together, and it was a really good experience. And it did show me that I had a lot of knowledge, thankfully, that I was not only winging it, and that I had a lot that I could learn from it. So during one of the big parts of it is what you're going, if you are looking to join, or if you join the program, you have to do your applied marketing project, which is the end. And you do a bit of it throughout the entire course. And I was thinking, what do I write about? I wanted to be something sexy and that I know of. So, and that it would be interesting for me, that I learn more. It may be like I can deepen my knowledge. And I decided to talk about blockchain. And then I decided to talk about blockchain. And then I was thinking, how do I do it? And I found, okay, I want to see if blockchain is what it's saying it is. When it's, I have been on an exchange for a very long time. And the crypto exchange is based on the layer of the blockchain, and several blockchains actually communicating to each other. And let's see how else I can use this. And that's how I chose this topic, which I'm going to go into detail now. Okay, so I will cover a bit what is blockchain. I don't want to assume anything here. You probably know a lot, but I'll do like a quick introduction, and then I'm going to follow the kind of structure that my thesis had, but I'm going to talk through it and the experience, putting a bit of my experience throughout the creation of this thesis. And then I have some useful information for anyone who would like to move into this industry, or is interesting how it is to work in marketing or ecosystem growth in this industry from my experience. Okay, blockchain. Okay, if I say what is blockchain, even the people who do not know what it's about, they know Bitcoin. I have heard of Bitcoin, and even my friends, who a lot of them are still in insurance with what I worked with, they know Bitcoin. They, no, oh my God, no, Bitcoin is too difficult, too many scams. I don't want to touch that. And yes, blockchain was used for Bitcoin since 2008, when Satoshi created it. But it's way more than that, the technology. It can impact several industries. So basically, blockchain is a digital ledger. So it's like a notary service on chain, where every transaction is stored in the blockchain. And these transactions, they cannot be changed by anyone. They are completely traceable. They are completely secure because of that, because they can't be changed by other people. They will all be recorded there, and they keep track of everything that occurs within the network. So if you think about it, imagine, to give an example, you have a spreadsheet where a lot of people are working on this spreadsheet, which we do have. But in the normal spreadsheet that we have, one person can change what the other person has done. Delete, erase. In this case, it can't. Every entry is recorded there. And this spreadsheet is not controlled by anyone. The same as the blockchain is not controlled by a government or a central authority. It's actually hosted by several computers, several nodes throughout. So this spreadsheet would be, you are using it, and no one has full control of it, and it records everything, making it more transparent, secure, and efficient. So there are several industries using blockchain that are greatly impacted. I didn't put it in order, actually. Here in Switzerland in particular, finance and banking are huge, where you do see the cryptos and Bitcoins and tokenized assets as well, NFTs. Supply chain here is huge in logistics because it has helped a lot of supply chains to track their products and know where they're coming from, when they're coming from, and make sure they don't disappear and what happens. Healthcare, centralizing information so that when you go to a doctor, this person he or she has your information there and it's accurate wherever you go. Real estate, identity, voting in governments, intellectual property and copyright, and insurance. So basically, anything where you can record data, you can use blockchain, and it has been showing several benefits. Okay, so that's like just a snippet of what blockchain is. And then the topic I decided to talk about was blockchain and financial inclusion. So when blockchain was first created, the topic that they talked about decentralization, not letting one power control people. Financial inclusion, letting more people come and have access to finances so that can improve their social lives. Self-sovereignty, that you own your own identity and not a bank or an institution has to own you, basically. And all those topics were the beginning of blockchain. But like every industry, when there is a lot of money, the industry evolved and a lot of things happened. So I decided to look into this and I asked the question, can you bring more participants to the financial markets? That was my initial question. And I started researching it like that. But because I decided that in my project, I would also have a product that I would offer and a business plan, I couldn't have the whole world, and I would have to narrow down my spectrum of assessment. And then I decided to look, okay, thinking of the beginning of blockchain and what it meant to do, I would like to see if it would help the unbanked, underbanked population. And then I went a bit deeper because I started thinking, where will I go? And I decided to go to Southeast Asia. Why? At the time when I was there, I was also working at IKE, and there were a lot of projects from Southeast Asia that have been in touch with us, talking to us about how the market in blockchain was growing there, how there were loads of investments being put into this area. And I could see a huge disparity of an area where there's a lot of technology going on and technology growth and investment in technology. And at the same time, a huge amount of the population is unbanked, underbanked. So I said, this is the perfect situation, right? Because you have the supply and the demand, and I would look into that. So actually, my title is, if it can bring more participants to the financial markets, focusing on the case of Southeast Asia. And first of all, I needed to understand what problems do the unbanked and underbanked population have, and choose the countries within Southeast Asia, which is composed by 11 countries, that I would start my product sale with. And because I wanted to do a business proposition, I created a product and a project named Bamboo, where I have a business plan, which had a projection of 4 years. And I wanted to pick 3 countries to begin with. I will go in detail with that, on that as well. So the most important thing when doing the research for me was, and that actually they said that in the course, and initially I thought, maybe it's not that important, but yes, it is the most important, is to ask the right questions that you want to research on. What do I need to answer to make sure that the research is strong and that I will have a full business plan, that my research is thorough? And my questions here were, to which extent can tokenization and blockchain enhance financial inclusion? What are the main issues faced by the unbanked, underbanked population? Which countries within Southeast Asia should be addressed first? What is the perception of blockchain technology amongst the general population? And what are clear use cases where this technology can bring benefits to the unbanked, underbanked, and how to best implement them? So, and that's what I did. The methodology I did to gather was a bit of a blend of qualitative and quantitative. I decided that because when I wrote the thesis, and probably still now, there is a lot of literature on blockchain, but because it's a new topic and it's such a young technology, there is not an abundance of papers or essays or things like that. And I felt that only looking at essays and papers wouldn't be enough. If I am in the industry and I have access to thought leaders, people who are transforming the technology and working with it daily, maybe I should use their insights. And I started by interviewing some CEOs, some executives from different projects I have been in touch with or that I had worked with. And my idea was to understand how they think the industry is going to be shaped in the future so I could shape my business plan. And when I create my product, I can take into consideration the thoughts, the research that I was doing, and the thoughts of the thought leaders. This was very interesting. And then I also decided to do 2 surveys. 30 people is a small pool. It was the multiple choice survey. And I wanted to interview first early adopters. So as I said, Bitcoin is there since 2008. A lot of the early adopters came in 2011, majority 2015. And because I was at Leakey and I was part of the marketing and talking to a lot of the community, as I said, because I went back and I talked to them a lot. A lot of those guys would talk to me daily and girls. And I said, okay, when did you start? And I said, I'm going to pick this pool to see how they first felt about it, how they currently use the technology, and what do they think that are the challenges that people face when they want to join? Because a lot of people want to join, and sometimes what were their challenges and what are the challenges that newer people would see? Because they are experts more than others. I also thought, because those are my clients, right? My potential clients, my clients. The next one was a multiple choice survey with 30 people as well, but completely new to the technology. Their knowledge of blockchain was close to 0. And it was to understand what is the reaction towards the concept and what is the level of acceptance and the concerns. So I wanted to see, okay, thought leaders, early adopters, and potential customers. How do I get new people to come on board? All this in the thought, I want to create a product that caters for everybody. I also, after I did a lot of the reading material, which is here, publications on blockchain, the unbanked, got data from statistical data to put my numbers. I created 3 use cases in my mind with the main problems of the unbanked, underbanked population. But as I wanted to create a product again, I had the idea of the product, the problem, and a product that would help them. But as alone, I wouldn't be able to create this product or even develop on it. So I spoke to 6 blockchain companies at the time, or fintech projects, and asked them to participate in a focus group with me. I would give them the scenario, and they would have to help me develop the product for them. Only 3 accepted to participate at the time, and it was good because then I had proposals from experts to put on this project. So this is my blend of research, and I'll tell you a bit about the findings. On the literature review, I won't go through this, but basically, when I asked the question, can blockchain bring more participants to the financial markets? The answer nowadays, if you ask me this question now, I would say yes, definitely. It has. I believe the technology has proven itself this day. It's here to stay. It has brought a lot of benefits to the population. Also has its downsides, which people are trying to mitigate now, but it's a proven technology. According to the literature at the time as well that I read, not only my opinion, it does help bring more people to the financial markets, particularly with SMEs, and particularly nowadays in Europe at first. A lot of SMEs, they manage to fund themselves by what we call, particularly in 2017-18, what we call the ICOs, the initial coin offering, where people would create, let's say, I live in Switzerland. I want tokenized chocolate, which is something everybody likes here. And why would I tokenize chocolate? So I tokenized Lindt, the factory. And I will say, I'm the owner of Lindt. Okay, Lindt does have shares, real shares, right? But let's play with me here. I'll tokenize Lindt. If you buy a token, you own a tiny portion of Lindt. And you can get the dividends, all the benefits of a shareholder within Lindt. But instead of having to be an accredited investor, like it is in traditional finance, you can spend a couple of hundred and have your little portion of the piece of the pie. So this has happened with smaller SMEs that managed to raise funds based on a product that they put out there. And communities would say, wow, this sounds amazing, this idea. And they were putting millions on it and helped them a lot to grow and the industry to grow as well. After looking at this, can blockchain help? There were lots of, I looked into the underbanked and unbanked. It says that yes, particularly on a peer-to-peer level and money is sending to peers, it did help them already. Countries like the Philippines, Turkey have already been using peer-to-peer apps by using blockchain, which allows them to send money fast to one another and cheaper transactions. And then I looked into the case for Southeast Asia, and it shows that a lot of traction has been put by the governments and that there is a lot of potential. They believe in a lot of potential for mass adoption and that there's a lot of money in the industry. So that's a summary. So there is a case to move forward with the topic. And then another part that one might think, oh God, this is difficult and boring, it's a lot of work, is to do the project diagnosis, is to do the PESTLE, the competitive analysis, the Porter 5 forces, and this is my business plan and my project. At first, if you think when you're doing the course as well, because you might think that, oh my God, there's a lot of this, I have to read a lot of this. It is extremely relevant. When you are in a new industry, particularly, or you have a new product, and I have been in several different projects since creating products with them, creating a marketing strategy with them, you have to go through this in detail. It's essential that you, in the PESTLE means politics, economic, social, technology, legal, and environment. You basically look at a region and see, is this a market that I should go in? How is the market developing? And does it have the good space for us to enter this market? And anytime I did any project, I had to look into that and I had to do a competitors analysis. So I went into this and I did the Southeast Asia, particularly because, as I said, there are 11 countries and I wanted to start with 3. So I needed to see at first, is the area good enough? And do they have similarities? What are those similarities? What are the clashes? How could it be? I then looked if they had a supply, demand, who are the competitors currently in the area? And there are loads in Southeast Asia. There are loads of apps, particularly of money transfer, remittance, coming from the bigs of the group of Alibaba, big Chinese companies as well, because they have a lot of influence in that region from India and China and the US. So they do have a lot of money coming in. They have a lot of developers in the region because people have been investing in education in that region a lot. They have a lot of money, so the demand of developers is an important thing that people need to have when you're creating a fintech company. They have a good space for it. There's a lot of opportunity, even though there's a lot of competition. And then looking at that, look at the political, the PESTLE and the competitor analysis, I decided that the best solution for the consumers on the Bamboo project would be a one-stop shop, because all the competitors had one solution. So for you to operate in the area, you have to have several apps that would do different things. So if I have one app that can do best-in-class products with a cost-efficient, because I'm going for the unbanked population, I would have a competitive advantage. Okay. All right. So then the decision time, right? Which countries would I choose from the 11? And I chose Thailand, Indonesia, and Singapore. And what I did to look at it was phone penetration, poverty numbers, unbanked numbers, and the age. And when you look at those countries, you see Thailand and Indonesia, okay, the poverty numbers are extremely high. Phone penetration is off the roof, they have this so much. It's a quite young population as well. And so they meet that criteria, right? And then you go, but why Singapore? Singapore is like a really rich country with no unbanked. I want to create a financial product at the end of the day. And for any market, you need liquidity. So I needed a stronger country to provide the liquidity. And also, this takes a lot of input from the CEOs. When I interviewed the CEOs, one comment they said is, it would be very good to partner with a strong player already in the region. Whenever you are bringing a new product, you partner with someone who already knows the market, has the know-how, brings this credibility, and brings the liquidity. Because if you want to lend money, you need someone, borrow money, you need someone to lend money. And that's why I picked Singapore. Also because I'm offering a one platform. The demographics and psychographic was a really interesting part of it. In Thailand, people are they love trends. They will buy something that is very trendy. They think about money, but they won't, price points are not a problem to them. In Indonesia, a lot like in the West, they like experiences nowadays. So they're moving from this consumerism to experiential part of it. And Singapore, they call it the Switzerland of Asia, right? People love the new technologies. They are the ones bringing the trends in the area. That's how I chose them. For the unbanked and underbanked, I looked at people who lived with less than $550 a day. So those are basically people who do not have access. What are the main problems? Because I never said that, right? Their main problems are they don't have credit and they can't accumulate assets. Why? Because oftentimes they cannot open a bank account. Bank accounts are costly. Often they live in the country and they don't have a bank, a physical bank even to go to, or that would cost them money. They are living on a day-to-day basis. So that for them would be really difficult to sort out. And most importantly, they don't even have an ID. This is a huge problem of the unbanked population. They do not have an identity. And when identity documents, they do have an identity. When you go to open a bank account, you do need a documentation, which they currently don't have, which blockchain can do a lot and has been doing a lot throughout the region already on this. They do through voice. As I said, it records every transaction or every data. It does through images and voice recognition. So they will see that Marina sounds very nasal like I do, and has this face, and it goes, they know it's me. This is so true about the problem of the bank accounts. On Leaky at the exchange, we did have a KYC process, know your customer. And we had a lot of people from Thailand in the exchange in Vietnam. This is a side story, but it's an interesting story. And one day I said to a guy, actually, listen, I would need your proof of address in order to open your account. It was a micro. You have different levels of KYC. And in his case, I has to put the information, show his ID. Some of them just take a photo of yourself moving, the liveness test, and you do need a proof of address. He sent me a photo of his house. And he said, I live here, but I don't have any documentation that will prove that I live here. And so this is a reality for them that is really difficult for them to provide the documentation. So this is the people I was thinking of when I created the personas, the user stories, is more than that. So my first story is a rural family depending on remittances from their son. Remittances to his family in Indonesia are expensive. The eldest son has moved abroad and sends back money regularly via Western Union to support his mother and younger siblings in their education. He has to use Western Union as they do not have a bank account. This costs money. His younger sibling have to travel to the next village to receive it, thus incurring more costs. So that's one problem. Two, a small local business, they are unable to access credit. So it's an appliance repair shop owner who cannot expand his business to import and sell new consumer goods to his developing customer base. There are no banks in the village, and even if there were, loans are too costly and interest rates are prohibitive. And the third one, it's a young adult in Singapore who wants to enter the tokenized world with the view that she could make some profit, as well as be included in this new trend technological community. So I envision Bamboo being one place where it would cater for these three people with those three different problems. Okay, so some of the decisions before I go to how I created the kind of app. The CEO said the summary, right? I asked them 6 questions each on an interview where I took notes. I booked with them, took notes, transcribed, and did it very easily and up to the point because I know those guys really don't have that much time. And they mentioned that it's essential that companies continue investing in the technology, and they work close with their regulators to ensure that people are protected. Because a lot of it, I started by saying people have heard a lot of the scams. And people want to feel that they have a hint of traditional, so feel that they are protected. And that they need to continue investing, and that the new market, a lot of them think the new market are the unbanked, underbanked population, because it's shown in the growth of crypto as a whole in the whole African continent, Southeast Asia, the likes of South America. The survey won, like I said, I interviewed 30 people, 70% of them were male, between 35 and 40 years of age. 28 people answered my questions. They're upper middle class, they are completely financially literate, and they are tech savvy. 20% of those people initially did not trust the technology when they started, and because of the stigma around it. And then they start researching, investigating, and they went, okay, I'll give it a try with very little money just to see. And they're still there to this day. 90% of them believes blockchain technology has given them more financial freedom, and that simple products and trust are the 2 main pillars for mass adoption. The second part of the people I interviewed, also 30 people, like I mentioned, I had a lower response rate on this one. The demographic profile was broadly similar, but there was more balanced men to women in this one. 71% felt that they would not invest in a tokenized financial asset as it's considered volatile with a high risk of fraud or a scam factor. And 87.5% of the respondents were in favor of such blockchain solutions. So how did I do that to get this? If I asked them, would you invest in a tokenized asset? They would go, no. But if I say, would you like to have money transferred to you next day from a country to another with very little cost and immediate settlement? They go, yeah. Would you like to go to a doctor and your data is there with the doctor without, with discretion, transparency, and security? Yes. And then I also asked them how much of them, because a lot of people seem to have to understand what blockchain is at this stage in order to tap into this space. And I was curious how many people actually really understand the internet, for example, and because everybody does use it, right? And majority of them don't. So as a new technology with a lot of stigma around, people are demanding a bit of knowledge. So with this, I thought, okay, I need a very sleek product, easy to use, that caters for all of them in one space, that provides credibility to people, and that would ideally have a partner in the region that knows the market. And then I went to the companies, gave them my scenarios, and they worked with them. It was COVID, so we had to have online Zoom sessions, and they were really good. I gave one scenario to each of the different companies, and they proposed a product. So for the first scenario where the boy who sends the money to his family via Western Union, they said a peer-to-peer transaction to a mobile phone with low to zero fees. This is a product that this person was very likely to consume. If you actually go to my paper, they actually give a thorough explanation of how they would do it. They would use collateralization with this traditional, where you kind of put some money at the back of the product already to guarantee that this peer-to-peer would not be non-existent. Asset-backed tokens, basically. And then the second one of the store, they would create a microcredit straight to his mobile phone, where it would be of high interest to this. That would be of high interest to this consumer class. So basically, they're creating a marketplace of microcredit. So where people lend money and some people borrow money, also backed by traditional finance and with some credibility. And the third proposal they did was what a lot of people see on exchanges, a simple platform with a clear experience for that girl who wants to buy her first tokenized asset, or deep into nowadays NFTs and things like that. In conclusion, I'll move you guys here. As I said, I did this business plan with a 4-year view. The first years would be those 3 countries, and then I would also go to Malaysia, Philippines. They had a rollout in Vietnam. It was a very interesting project to do. The product is an interesting product that we kind of, I even brought it to the CEO at Like, and I said, oh, do you think this could be something we offer to people? Because we did have some people in Southeast Asia, and we did tweak a few things, but there was a consideration on using it. They did use parts of it. And the question is, can blockchain democratize finance and bring more participants to the financial markets? Yes, it has been doing so. A lot of the West world and the big corporations, or even the smaller and medium enterprise, have made a lot of money. But the important is to focus on the how and see how we can actually democratize finance, which means more than just the people who already have money, and bring it to the unbanked, underbanked population. And that's what Bamboo would like to do. That was the proposal. Last. So like I said, I have been in the market for 5 years in this specific area, crypto and blockchain. There are a few challenges that I thought would be interesting to comment if there is any interest. I always, when I go to things, I said I'd love a tip on what to do, what not to do. So this is something I'd like to try here. One frustrating thing about crypto and blockchain is that paid ads are nearly impossible, because majority of those businesses are unregulated. The current social media channels ban it very quickly. You can try, and it might work for a day, but they will figure it out and ban it. So you have to focus a lot on content. And that's the main way of doing it. And community, you see one of my topics, and community growth. I did mention during the talk that the communities kind of brought a lot of money to some projects. And as such, they feel they are part and owners of those projects. So they will give their input daily, which can be difficult to the marketing team, right? Because they have a saying that they go, when marketing, when do paid ads? And you have to kind of have open dialogue with them of everything. So they play a huge weight on the projects in general, or even on big exchanges. And you do need to focus on the growth of those communities in every way possible, normally with content. There is a technical complexity particularly when you're talking, like the project I work for now is a blockchain layer 1 sharded. It's too technical sometimes to make it simple for everyone to read. So you have to kind of go deep into it. There's also a lot of regulatory uncertainty. Some days things go one way and everything in your business is fine. Then the UK, for example, released loads of different rules. We had to change the whole frame of the KYC on the exchange because it's becoming more and more strict. The big one is, before we started, I was talking to Laura here and I said, oh, the one place I am making money is this robo investor I have some money in. She looked at me like, mm-hmm. So trust, credibility, and risk are a huge thing. It is true, I am making money with this project named Picala. I maybe would not have invested in them if I did not know the founders so well and know that they're doing something completely perfectly with a proper goal in their minds, because there are several scams going around and that they do take the money from people and they never give it back. Another small challenge is often founders and project leaders don't believe in marketing in this area, or they believe they know more than you, even though you might have a lot. They are normally developers, they're extremely smart, and they develop the whole thing, often by themselves or with a few people. And they have a very strong view of how it should be positioned, which can be difficult. And last, things move fast. So the targets will move too fast. You finish one thing, you have to start something else, and that will be. But having said, it sounds like it's not great. It's a great industry to work at. You learn a lot of new things. It's exciting. Every day something's new, so every day you have something to learn how to deal with. And you encounter several different experiences, and yeah, it is quite good. That's it. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Marina. If anyone has a question and would prefer to write it, I can read it out. So I'm gonna give you the priority, guys, before I ask and mention my many questions and ideas. If anyone would like to speak out and just ask, please do go ahead. No questions? Okay, so Marina, are you ready? For my question. So one thing is how to market and expand the knowledge of crypto. Like in our previous masterclass, we, like I mentioned to you, we discussed e-commerce and softwares that kind of organize site development and site websites auto changes. And I mentioned to our alumni that, there's something, for example, on the Apple phone. Why do we not have any softwares that could organize or automatically organize your apps? Or maybe automatically give you the option of organizing your photos. At the moment, we can filter the photos according to dates, to the day and time and dates. But I was like thinking, okay, what if I want to organize my photos as objects or colors? So this one thing that I was like saying to Nico, the alumni, that maybe thank God this session is recorded. So if Apple does do this, I can say, well, this is my idea. I did this before. I mentioned and talked about this before you actually, because it's really annoying. Like when you download an app, it just goes into the end of the list of your apps. And you have to go ahead and organize your phone and organize the apps and create little boxes for your specific ones. So why can't they kind of create a software in the background where, okay, I'm downloading a finance app that will go into like the finance box, and the same with the photos. I have so many photos with animals, dogs, pets. And why couldn't they be in one file? And this another thing, like crypto, blockchain, NFTs and Bitcoin. I think if we really, really trust the system, I think banks should offer to everyone, if you want, you can open a Bitcoin account with your bank. So this is your real money, and this is your crypto metaverse, other world money, which is all technology and is people say it's not real. It's just like it's in a different world. So I think if banks, like they introduced the online banking maybe 5 to 10 years ago, and they did online courses and they sent their employees to old people homes or to schools and said to them, okay, this is how you use the system. We're changing, we're evolving. I think if this happens, or if even we open specific banks for Bitcoin and be like, okay, we're real, we're physical, we're not completely digital. Why don't you come ahead, learn about this, and open a bank account, open a Bitcoin metaverse bank account. And this I think this is the simplest way to teach people about that other world, by creating a link, a real link to that. Not like, because people think it's not real, because it's like, if you can't touch it, you can't see it, it's not physical. And then say, okay, we are giving you the first step, or the way, or the bridge to connect these two worlds together. But then again, we're talking about risk and credibility and trust. I think if there is a physical thing that could actually show you physical risks and how to trust these people, I think that will kind of break the barrier. We have I think it is a question. I've got Sharad here. She said, thank you for the great talk and giving us a deep dive into your project. Can you go over the research part of it again, and how did you come to choose which method to use for it, whether it's qualitative and quantitative?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you, Sharad. I'm going to mute.
Yeah, before I go through this question, just to complement Laura, your comment, banks are looking into implementing blockchain functions into them. They just take a bit longer, but there has been a few years that the banks here in the UK and in Europe in general are doing it. In Switzerland, they have an ATM for Bitcoin because they agree with you. They do believe the physical is what connects people and make them see. And I couldn't agree more. Education is key. There are crypto schools that allow you to trade and learn how to do it. But the problem we currently have is they're not like an online banking, which is so easy to do, right? The exchanges are still quite complex, and people get daunted by simply looking at the graphs in an exchange. But it has been, if you look at Kraken, they have an easier mode, and you can do a crypto school that will teach you a bit more about the risks and research you need to do to get into this market as well. So yeah, you are on point. Those are things that are moving, but a bit slower. And like traditional finance, investing is not easier. And so you have to dedicate a lot of time, which people often don't have, which is also another barrier, because they're living life every day and it's already a lot. They have to work 9 to 5 and make their active income before looking at passive. Okay, on the question. I thought that doing only a quantitative, looking only at data, for me would not be enough, because I did need a blend of it, because I wanted to create a full product. And as an industry expert, I still felt I did not have enough of the knowledge to create a full business plan and a product on my own. So I needed the research to have a bit of both quantitative and qualitative. Look at how people feel, how people, because a lot of it has to do with feeling. I don't want to use this because I think it's dangerous, or I'm going to lose money. And whereas I got a lot of statistical data from reading from the World Bank, because if you see my research, I actually have loads of numbers, like 400 million people are unbanked, and I had to kind of do it like that. I also thought the surveys would be helpful in order to create data as well as mix with the feelings. So throughout it, I couldn't say I went quantitative or qualitative. I kind of mixed them both throughout the entire time, outside from the CEOs, which is basically input. I don't know if I answered, actually.
Sharad, do you think you have the answer? your question?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like having a mix of like two different methods to do
Actually,
the
I think it
research.
was the easiest way for me. That's
Yeah.
the truth. If I got stuck with one, I would feel I had not really done it fully. And because the technology has a lot of soft skills, and I wanted to put a lot of like I said here, my view is that, yes, the technology has proven itself. And because I wanted to have this kind of emotional part of it as well, I needed to do a lot of qualitative. And how people think and felt did play a big part on it.
Yeah,
and as
I
well
agree.
because it's not common, like not many people are used to it or used it before, so it had to be like real life experiences that people kind of lived through. We have a question here from, I believe it's Kate. So she said, a lot of industries are still afraid to launch it, education, confidence, etc. How do you think the population, the user, and businesses can get faster at gaining confidence to launch blockchain in their sectors? She lives in the UAE, and the super progressive yet private sector is not at starting block, which is true. Like it's almost like it's selective audience that managed to enter this world, even though some people are interested, but they are not shown the clear picture for them to be as confident as other people to kind of start or invest, or invest even time, not just invest money, but invest their time into this. So what do you think should happen?
One, I couldn't agree more. I feel like the UAE is upcoming on the technology. They're hosting most of the events nowadays. They are investing a lot of their time and putting resources to attract big people to go there. And yes, at the same time, I agree with you that it's a selective group of people, which I stumbled upon, I have to say. And then I said, I'm going to have to learn everything that there is to learn, are part of, and are proud to be kind of private. It's still that thing only a niche of people know, and I feel exclusive. So it's still very far from democratization the way I see it. Because I even say, people use this word very loosely in this space because it's used a lot. And democratization for me means everybody kind of, it's like the internet. You use it, you don't even need to think about it. I don't know. I just click go, and Google comes and helps me. Or what? But there is another side to it. Like I said in the beginning, if we think of traditional finance and investing in general, when we think of money, if it's not, and that's just my thoughts at first, and then I'll try to see what I believe the industry guys would say. Although I am. If you think of money and traditional finance and shares, this is also a separate world that people have heard more, traditional finance, but it's not as easy for you to go in alone. You normally have to even put your money with a broker, trust this broker fully, that he or she is doing whatever you expect them to do. They often do lose a lot of your money, but they are backed by protection of the traditional finance spectrum. And so investing is hard. Dealing with money that is not your salary is already hard. Even dealing with your payslip sometimes is when you go net gross, you go, oh my God, I just wanted the bigger number. It is all kind of complicated, right? So for me, when I entered, I always say to people when they want to enter the space is use a tiny bit of money that you're willing to lose to learn. It's like an investment in anything. When you pay for a course, you pay for things. I actually do have a website that I can give afterwards that I need to look at the name that does teach a lot of crypto, and it's quite good. And you go in, pick an exchange that you believe is solid enough and that has an easy part to it, and try with an amount that you feel, okay, if I lose that, I'm just learning something. Read a lot. I had to start reading to see how people feel, And what it is, that's why it is very qualitative still. It's a lot of people's feelings dictate this market to this day. And to see which exchanges do have more users, they do have more credibility. If they don't do KYC, if it's full DeFi, decentralized finance, and you can just do like a cowboy, don't go into it. Decentralized finance is another level that it's really hard. You really need to be able for it. And read, educate yourself by looking at different things. Talk to people who have experience in the field, because the most common question I got on the exchange, and that's how I learned a lot, right? What was with the guys, the community, was there is something in crypto that is a wallet, a crypto wallet. And for this wallet, you have a key, like the key to your house. And this key are 12 words. However, if you lose those 12 words, it's gone. You no longer can go in. In some exchanges, we do manage to migrate the accounts and you don't fully, but there is a probability that you can lose your money. And there are loads of scams about people asking you to give you those 12 words, which should never be done or saved on your computer. So there's a lot of those details that you should start, basics for cryptocurrency. When we were at Leaky, I started, let's create a glossary with some terms first. What is Bitcoin? What is margin trading? What is, let me think, shilling? What is going to the moon? Because this is a whole vocabulary, a whole world that I had no clue. People say, when moon? And I went, what? They don't even speak English. They have their own language and their own thing. So start looking at their lingo, then get a small amount of money, go to a larger exchange, the likes of Kraken, and Kraken is not sponsorship, that have a lot of people that, you know, they have an easier experience as well, and put a little bit, and but the research is key. Because I don't know if you guys have seen, FTX was the second largest exchange ever. Lots of actors, artists, people with a lot of money. And in the end, it was a ridiculous, not a scam, because it wasn't a scam, but there was a lot of money being taken, used for something else. The guy's in jail. So it is hard to trust, but there is more trust put into it. And the people are very closed, and they like that. They feel like they are the Wolf of Wall Street of crypto, but they are aware that it needs more people. So summarizing, I think that the industry is too young and it's too niche at this point in time. To enter it, you need to read and spend a lot of time. Look at the frequent asked questions that people ask, which is, how do I not lose my words? What do I do with them? What is KYC? How do I withdraw money? Because sometimes that's hard. What is an address? And take a look at those basic concepts before you do anything. And annoy the support teams, because they do answer quite well. At least I remember my guys used to.
Thank you, Marina. We have Sharati says that incident kind of made me a little more skeptical of the industry. But I mean, it happens everywhere. Like, yeah, even with that festival that was on an island, and the guy that sold tickets are worth 25 million or something ridiculous. I can't even remember the number. And at the end, they had like the worst experience of their life, and people were stuck on this island. They couldn't even get home. They didn't have like shelters, food. So I think with everything, it happens with any business. But yes, I can't believe that.
Finance.
Yeah, I can't believe that it's such an interesting subject. No one left, even though we passed the time. We're like 4 minutes after 6, and people are still here. But like, it's really, really interesting subject, and it's something that it's going to be a normal thing. It's going to be a norm, like buying things with Bitcoin, trading with Bitcoin, buying houses with Bitcoin is just going to become something very normal. And I know, like, one of the first houses that was bought with Bitcoin was actually in Portugal. And it's when you think about it, it's like, what, really? Like, somebody sold their house for some like not real money. But I think it's gonna be a big thing, and I would love to take this opportunity, Marina, to talk to you and email you and ask you some questions, if you don't mind. I'm not sure. I've got Sharad here. Marina, can you share the name? Or Sharad is like really interested. He's like, Marina, can you please share the name of the website you mentioned to learn more about crypto and blockchain?
I will have to look at it but I can give some links. If you guys want to contact me on LinkedIn, I'm more than happy to do it, because a lot of our work at Leaky, I did want to have a learning center, because I agree with you. This was my first and biggest fear to go into the industry. I am really forgetful. I'm one of those people who use the one password and forgets the password for the one password. So I was so afraid.
Do you mind if I share your link to LinkedIn on the chat here?
No, please do. Go ahead.
So, guys, here is Marina's LinkedIn. So please connect. Am I connected already? Have I clicked on connect? Yeah, I'm connected. No, I'm connected now. So yes, I have, so many questions, and I really, really think, and I've seen with my own eyes, like people flip their fortune within weeks through this, and it's like me thinking, like, wow, I think like I'm a clever person. Like I love business, and I want to start my own business, and I have so many products that I want to patent. And the dream is to be in China, produce and have my products actually real. So I think if you start your own business, you need to learn everything about marketing, about strategies, about action plans. And Bitcoin is going to be like the next big thing, where to invest whatever comes from this business and to grow it, it will be a very, very good kind of channel to do that.
Yeah. Digital assets will be huge. And if you talk to younger guys, always in talks when we go, there's like a 13-year-old protege. And when they talk about it, you see how much they actually use tokenized assets, NFTs, and they have such a strong knowledge of it.
Yeah.
So
I wish I was that young. It's like learning a language. The younger you are, the easier it is. There's a little bit more space in there. Well, thank you so much, Marina, and thank you everyone for being so patient and so interested, and for asking questions. And please connect with Marina on LinkedIn and ask any questions, and she will be more than happy to kind of share the link that she mentioned to learn a bit more. And maybe if she starts her own learning company, we'll be her first students. Yeah, maybe we'll do a trial. I'll be like your,
my guinea pig.
Your guinea pig. Yes, I was gonna say that rat lab, but guinea pig is better.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, thank you so
much.
Thank
you guys. Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye, Samir. Thank you too.
Bye.